Hey everybody, welcome back to Pristine Podcast. My name is Leo, and in this video we're going to talk about top 7 strategies for a successful podcast launch. Strategy number 1 is set a launch date and give yourself a deadline. To avoid any sort of procrastination when launching your podcast, you should set a launch date and give yourself a deadline. This will form a goal in your brain, so you'll feel accountable to publish the first episode when the day comes. Whichever day you end up deciding, you should go backwards from that date to schedule your promotional posts. These posts are going to be normal posts, just like the one you usually do, with the intention of promoting your podcast. They're going to have a specific template, which you will tweak for each of these promotional posts, and then go to the calendar and pick which dates you're going to send these, but be sure to not go further than 2 weeks, because humans can only retain excitement for that long. The first person who sees your first promotional post is not going to wait more than 2 weeks to see your first episode come. Strategy number 2 is create a podcasting platform. If you already have an audience in the same niche that you're planning to post the podcast, you should definitely consider creating a podcasting platform. Up to now, your fans are only used to hear from you with your usual formats, which could be YouTube videos, blog posts, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, a combination of all of these. But now you're adding a whole new format into the game, which is podcasts. So this platform is going to serve as the future hub for your listeners to be in. Keep in mind though to set up this podcasting platform before your launch date, and also update your website with information as to when your podcast is going to launch, and use all of your social media, leverage their following to promote your podcast, so that by the time your podcast launch, there will be already an audience waiting for it. Strategy number 3 is create an email list. One of the most personal ways of contacting your audience is by sending them an email in their inbox. Now, this is all fun and games in the beginning when there's a few people following you, but as your audience grows, it's going to be practically impossible to send each and every single one of them a personal email. And that's when email service providers come in handy. So if you have an account already set up, that's fine. If you don't, then set one up and then have a form in your podcast section in your website, which people can sign in to hear more from you on the podcast related stuff. And then when the day of your launch comes, they will be in there to receive some email about some exciting news. To make it more exciting for them to sign up for your email list, you can promise them, at least for the early stages, to send a preview or the full episode before it actually launches for everybody else. Now, obviously, this is not just going to be you giving more to them, but they're also going to give back to you by suggesting topics for your next episodes or recommending people you can have an interview with. If you're finding this information helpful and you want to hear more podcasting tips in the future, then don't forget to press subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get notified whenever we upload a new video. Strategy number 4 is promote the launch of your podcast. Now that you've set up your podcast platform and those promotional posts that we set up in the beginning are starting to send, to further enhance your audience's engagement, what you can do is run a contest or a giveaway, but make sure that what you're giving away is relevant to your niche. One of the clients that I've helped set up the podcast was on the baby-led winning niche, and her giveaway was a high chair, which is the chair where babies sit and parents feed them. That was very relevant to our audience because they were mostly parents with a baby, but tried to send the same thing to an audience related to cosmic queries or something, say spacey, for example. There will be no need for that. So be sure to have it specific for your need. It could also be an online subscription in the tool that's again relevant to your contest and so on. Also, if you can participate in other people's podcasts, but for it not to feel like a very good favor, you need to have an existing audience so that it feels like an exchange. Strategy number 5 is start with a couple of episodes. Gaining a spot in the iTunes new and noteworthy section is a key metric of a successful launch. To achieve this, all of the excitement that you've helped to build, before the start, plus having more than one episode, preferably between 5 and 10. Some of my clients have done up to 20 in the beginning. Will make sure that the people who check your podcast for the first time are going to spend more time watching them because there's going to be more selection. And the people who like all of your posts are going to listen to all of them. Now, all this data is going to trigger the algorithm and your podcast is going to spike, it's going to go up the charts. Also, though, please be sure to have a spot in the iTunes before your launch date. So, it can take some time for Apple to approve your podcast. So you should start your application way early and then have it activated before your launch date so that you don't disappoint people. Strategy number 6 is turn your experience into a resource. You can repurpose your existing episodes into other forms such as an ebook or an online course, or create a mastermind community where you can teach other people to launch their own podcast while drawing them back to your content basically to expand and evolve with it. Strategy number 7 is play the long game. I've written something about this actually that I would like to read. Like many other creative works, it's not about overnight success. It's about constantly adding value and having fun along the way. Podcasting can be a fun and lucrative side project, full-time work, or source of additional revenue for your business. But the key is to enjoy the process of development, interaction, and content as much as you enjoy the final product. Those were wise words. And with that, we conclude this episode. If you want to finally take the leap and grow your own podcast without wasting a lot of time, then go grab yourself the podcast launch pathway in the description. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget to press like, subscribe, and the bell icon for more podcast-related content in the future. I'll see you again in the next video.